Hello, welcome everyone to another episode of the Virtual Ninja Show. My name is Heike, and today for me, I have a very special guest with me, a longtime colleague and friend, Yuri. Please introduce yourself.
Hey, Hike, thank you very much for having me on your show. It's been forever since I wanted to be here. I'm glad that I got invited. Yeah, my name is Yuri Diogenes. I've been working at Microsoft for the past 20 years, working with Defender for Cloud since day one, back in 2015 when it was still Azure Security Center. I manage a team of PMs for Defender for Cloud. And we have really a great story to tell today about how Defender for Cloud is coming into the Defender portal.
Yes. But before we go into that topic, you mentioned it's been forever that you are now finally on the show. There's a reason, because you, Yuri, you have your own show. It's called MDCinthefield. And, I don't want to be a competition to you. So that's why you do all the Microsoft Defender for Cloud content there. We put a link, aka.ms /MDCinthefield. What is that show? How often do you post new episodes? Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, thank you. And never is going to be a competition because your show is so much broad and cover all the MTP stack, right? And Defender for Cloud is just a piece of it. Mine is very specific. We don't really have a rigid cadence. It's more on the ad hoc base. We try to release once a month, but sometimes the engineering is busy. There are other things that are going on, so we don't really have a cadence. The show is very tailored to capabilities that we are releasing, to showcase new features, showcase different scenarios. And I don't bring people from the field for the most part. I did this once, but most of the time is feature PMs, researchers, and software engineers sometimes as well. Software engineer is a rare species to speak in public, but when they are willing to do it, it's pretty cool because they really go deep. So I got some good examples of software engineers joining the show to talk about. But yeah, that's the intent.
Thank you. Yeah, so for everyone who wants to go deeper into Microsoft Defender for Cloud, check out this show. And then, Yuri, I also want to talk, because I'm always so excited, all the things that you do. I mean, we can't go about like everything now, but one, you are an author. You're helping people to either make or grow careers in cybersecurity with various books. So where can people find your books?
Well, most of my books, they are at the Microsoft Press store. For the ones that are written for Microsoft Press and Pearson, because Microsoft Press release books by Pearson these days. There are some other books that are not Microsoft Press. They are on my Amazon page. All the books are there. The latest one, as you said, is this Building a Career in Cybersecurity, which helps people to really have an understanding where they should go, what the options are, having this roadmap where they want to go. And probably is the book that to me is the most impactful one, because it's really reached a lot of audience, students and people from the different field that wants to join. The book is also the first one that I have that is available in Audible. I never had a book in Audible, so I was pretty excited when they released this one in Audible format. It's not me talking, it's not this
I
thick
was just
accent,
about
it's
to
someone
ask.
else. And they hire a professional narrator, and I think it was good. I think it was
Wow.
good, and it's very pleased with the results.
Okay. So we will put all the links where people can find you in our description here. But now, so we are going to talk about how Microsoft Defender for Cloud is moving into the Microsoft Defender portal with some of the content that Defender for Cloud has, because Defender for Cloud is a big beast of a product, as I call it always. So what is it that made us decide to bring Defender for Cloud content into the Microsoft Defender portal?
Well, there were many reasons. First is the unification, the whole idea of unification insights in one single portal, right? So all the other products from the MTP family, they were already there. Sentinel, Defender for Cloud Apps, Defender for Endpoint. It was important for us to also be there as well. But also, it unblocks a lot of engineering capacities that we were kind of already getting limited in the Azure portal,
Mhm.
um, in terms of scalability, in terms of feature sets. So this is not a lift and shift type of change or migration, for the lack of better words, because it's not really a migration. We are not lift and shifting. This is a completely redesign, re-architecture, and that's why the journey is long. We released it, what we call the M1 during Ignite last year, with some capabilities that were uh, uh, not moved, but would all surface in the new portal, in the Defender portal. But the journey is long, and it's very important to also set the expectation that we are not deprecating the experience in the Azure portal. Right? We stay there. Customers don't have to rush. They should definitely start exploring the new capabilities in the new portal, because all the innovation moving forward is going to be there.
Mhm.
And this is the chance to provide feedback as we are building into what is coming. Like the M2 will come this semester with other set of capabilities, and the journey goes on. So I think that's the main rationale.
So when I think about other products, when they either moved or transitioned or were integrated into the Microsoft Defender portal, it was also always about the correlation of signals. It was about, for instance, advanced hunting, something that was maybe also part of the other products, but in a different way. So, is this also true that with all the signals that are coming and the features that are coming, it will also be enriched with existing features that haven't been there in the diff MDC Azure portal?
Yeah, I think that this part we were doing pretty well because, for example, in terms of integration of signals, we were doing that even on the portal, even on the Azure portal, right? Because all the alerts that we generate throughout the different Defender plans, different for containers, different for story, everything goes natively to the XDR already by default. So even before we start having a presence in the menu in the Defender portal, our signals were fully integrated with the XDR already, and with Sentinel as well, as long as you have the Sentinel connector. So in terms of integration, I don't think that this will probably unlock different scenarios, but it's not that we were not doing this already. We were doing this, and many for areas that are not fully migrated yet, right? So I think that one of the major difference is customers, they don't want to go to multiple dashboards, and this increases the total cost of ownership anyway because you have to manage multiple dashboards. The idea of having everything in one single unified portal, that's really a big deal. Every time that I talk about this with customers, they see the value. Like, oh, I don't need to alternate between a lot of portals, logo in different places, and try to do this, side by side. I can just go to one place and I have posture, I have threat detection, I have posture across different workloads. So that's really good.
And you have different audiences, right, in the Azure portal. So it's not for everyone. Who is the person that you were just mentioning? What is that audience that is happy to now only look into one portal and not hop again back and forth?
Yeah, so there are in Defender for Cloud is consumed by different personas. Because if you think about from the proactive standpoint, the persona that will consume the data is the secure posture management team, the team that will look at proactive things that they need to do to improve the posture, improve the secure score, decrease the likelihood of compromise, all the proactive work, right? And then you have the SOC, which is more aligned with Sentinel. They will also consume data from the Defender for Cloud because of our threat detection across the different workloads, right? So, for example, when Defender for Containers trigger an alert, that's not going to be consumed by the posture management team, it will be consumed by the SOC. So there are different personas. And there is also the figure of the secure leadership, the CISO, that they also want to have some sort of visibility. So one of the things that we are doing also with the news, this new experience, is improving our back, so that if you just need to have access to some dashboards, it'll be easier to configure, and we're going to have more reports and data visualization, because for decision makers, they want to see that. They want to see a consolidated view of the insights and things like that.
So Yuri, let's have a look how it looks like in the Microsoft Defender portal and what people can see there.
Sure, let's go. All right, so when you land in the Defender portal, which I will also want to emphasize that the name of this portal is Defender portal. And for many times I hear people saying, oh, the Defender XDR portal. Well, we have the XDR dashboard, but the name of the portal is Defender portal. So just clarify that. In the Defender portal, and you go to the left navigation here, you will see some other members of the family that are already here, like endpoints, reflects the Defender for endpoints and everything. And there's this new menu called Cloud Security. And under Cloud Security is where Defender for Cloud is going to live from now on. And when you click Overview, that's exactly the main dashboard that we are surfacing here on Defender for Cloud. And as you can see, it's very nice, very easy to consume the initial information about the connected environments. What I mean by that is, since Defender for Cloud is a multi-cloud platform, if you have Azure, AWS, and GCP, you will see here there is also other DevOps platforms that can be connected to it as well. And one of the things that you have right away is the secure posture, which I want to dive in a little bit right now, start from this, because I think one of the changes that we did when we click here in View Cloud Initiative and we go to this new visualization, one of the changes that we made was on the secure score calculation, right? Because now we are taking consideration the risk factor calculation. Before, we were only looking at flat recommendations in security groups in order to improve the secure score. Now we are taking consideration, for example, if you resolve an attack path and that attack path is connected to a critical risk recommendation, is going to also affect. That's point number one. Point number two is we added this label here, which I think is pretty nice, because a lot of times customers say, hey, I have 73% score. Is this a good or bad? And over the years, I try to educate customers that this is more a journey rather than pass or not pass type of score, because you want to aim for 100%, right? It's like you have a house and you have 5 doors in the house, and you close 4 doors and you leave one unlocked. Are you in a better secure state? Well, it's still one open. Someone can get in there, right? So I think it's the same thing here. But we wanted to guide you through this journey, and now we have this label that says moderate in 7.3. Then it goes to good when you are between 75 and 89%, and very good 90, 100%. Again, the idea is just to guide you through the journey. No? You always should aim for 100%.
And we give recommendations here as well, right, to how to improve that secure score.
Yes, if we click here on the View Critical Recommendations, we go directly to that. But I want to highlight here the secure score reasoning, which is something new that we added here. First is the secure score over time. Just this visualization on its own is something that you could only do this in the Azure portal if you export the logs to a log analytics, and then you use workbook to rationalize those logs. So it was a lot of work just to have the secure score over time. You had to have those workbook and data exported. Now is natively part of the portal. Customers are really enjoying this because now I can see how my secure score has evolved over time. And for example, what is the trend? Is it increasing? Is it decreasing? And here on the right side, we have the key reasons for score change, which is also something new. We didn't have this before. Now we say, 151 recommendations change from low to high. In other words, that's the reason why the score decreased. And then you can kind of understand why things are changing in your environment. Because in the past, this was also very tricky to track it down and understand why things change. Another news is the security score by environment. So we go deeper than just showing the security score on the subscription. For example, in the past, we were more around the security score on the Azure subscription, on the AWS, and things like that. Now we go a little bit deeper than that.
Quick question, Yuri. So you showed before on the overview page all the connected environments. Is this then by the connected environments, the secure score that you mentioned, or what are the different environments?
Yeah, it also take in consideration those environments as well. It just go a little bit deeper per breakdown per subscription and environment. Yes, it inherit the information from that as well. Now, what is brand new is the security score by workload, which is something that we had many customers in the past requesting this. Is, for example, what is my security score just for data? Right? When I think about my data protection or my data security journey, how am I get there? What about containers? What about AI, which is a big deal these days? How is my AI journey improve in terms of AI secure posture management? So this is really important because also, if you think about the workload owner of each one of those workloads may be a different group. You may have a group that is responsible only for DevOps. You may have a group that is responsible only for AI. So now these groups can see this breakdown and then drill down through all recommendations. So this is also really nice.
Why is it all red? Is this just the color that we picked, or is this because it's critical?
Red is because it's critical.
Okay. Okay.
Every time you see red, it's not a good deal. It's not a
Okay.
good thing.
There's a lot of red here on your page.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Yeah,
It
good.
is a demo environment, so it's all on purpose, right? And you can see here the tone of red. If it is really dark red, it's critical. You know one thing, red is bad, how bad it is. So let's put that way, right? Because this also changes here. If you look at
Oh, yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
recommendation here, you can highlight which one you are looking at
This
it.
is pretty. I like it.
Yeah, this is very pretty. I like it too. Going back here, we also added this more understands to customers was as how this thing is calculated, right? So we give more transparency and customers say, well, what's the formula? Here's the formula. Very simple. You can try to simulate. So now you want to know the formula. So now I'm giving you the
Wow.
formula.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, I will
so
write it down and calculate myself now going
yeah,
forward.
exactly. So this is very important. Now, one thing that is also important to notice is the fact that the Venefall Cloud, the M1 came to this dashboard, but there are other parts of the Venefall Cloud that is distributed in a different place. For example, if I go to Assets on the left and I click Cloud, this is also coming from the Venefall Cloud, right? This is the inventory dashboard.
So all your machines and your containers and
Yes, all the workloads that are managed by the Venefall Cloud, like VMs, data, containers, AI, API, right? So we give you here all the workloads that are managed by the Venefall Cloud. And that's also very important because this visualization, mainly for AI, we are giving some very detailed information that is not available in the inventory of the Azure portal. So for example, for AI, we break down in AI model endpoints, AI agents. So we have a much richer capability and visibility. And visibility is super important because you cannot protect what you don't know exists. So this is imperative for the beginning of the cloud journey. How my agents, what agents do I have?
And can you then click on each of these entities to go on
Yes.
an
So I click on each one
wow.
of the entities and I have more details here about the
Open the asset
asset.
page, even an
Yeah,
asset.
and then I
Wow.
can give a look at the details to see if there is any attack path linked to this asset. If there is any open recommendation, in this case, it has, and if it has any alert. And this is the beauty about this page as well, is because again, remember I talk about personas that are going to consume this information. If I am in the posture management team, right, and I'm looking at this information and I see that there is an active alert, this is a chance for me to pivot and talk to the SOC team and say, hey, this asset of mine looks like there is an active alert, right? Because there's a difference between recommendation and alert. Recommendation is a proactive thing that you need to do to improve the secure posture. Alert is an active threat that either took place and we already uh, trigger, or is an ongoing attack on the environment, right? So this is also very interesting. Same thing for data. When I navigate through the data here, I have information about storage account. I have information about databases and all that. So this is very rich. It allows you to have all these different levels of visualizations here.
Yeah, which is the fly out menu. And then you can also even click on open the asset page, which gives you then another nice view of all these things.
Right. If I go to the assets page, then I will explode and go deeply into the asset itself, including potential attack paths. As you can see here, I have the correlation map. I have information about active alerts. So this is another important thing, right? This storage account, it is either under attack now or there was an attack before. So this data is already automatically inserted into our XDR platform to do the whole data correlation, right? That's a great merge between the posture management dimension and then moving on to threat detection. So that's the beauty about this visualization and this experience, should I say?
Wow.
Okay.
I didn't know it was already that rich. I'm super excited. You know, below the overview, you have regulatory compliance.
Yeah. So that's another part that we are also bringing in with the regulatory compliance dashboard, which maps to our regulatory compliance in Defender for Cloud. So we have a series of regulatory standards that we do checks. And it's very important to emphasize here that what we are doing with those regulatory compliance is just giving a different lenses of visualization, okay? Because at the end of the day, the recommendations, they are the foundations of everything. How do we map? How do we map for CIS? How do we map for PCI and things like that? As a way, for example, if you are going through auditing and your company needs to adhere with standards such as NIST or ISO, you have this set of regulatory lens on top of the data that you already have there to allow you to understand how you are progressing over time. So this is also very good because we are providing this new set of visualizations that we didn't have in the past. Right? How we are progressing on this standard? Are we going on the right direction? Okay.
Wow. Okay. There's a lot of standards, but usually I would assume that some people just follow a couple of them and only have to focus on the set of recommendations for.
Right. It's sometimes what is interesting about standards is sometimes a company they may need to be compliant with multiple standards. If you think about, for example, in the U.S., if you are a health insurance, you have to comply to HIPAA, but in the same workload, maybe you have credit card information, so now you have to be compliant with PCI as well. So you may have multiple standards that you need to be compliant with.
So, Yuri, and you can think about it for a second. What's your favorite thing of new, maybe visualization of something new for customers that are new to the Microsoft Defender portal for Defender for Cloud? Like we looked at the dashboard, but there's like pieces on it. Like, what's your favorite part?
I think that since I'm very heavy on posture. I like the inventory specifically about AI because during this AI journey, what we see a lot is that customers they are starting to adopt agents. There is a
Mhm.
very appetite to create agents, but when you start deploying agents without security in mind, you can create what is called the agent sprawling effect. Because let's say, oh, I'm going to create an agent for this project, and then you don't decommission, the agent's still available in the marketplace, and now everyone can use. So you start losing control. What if you build an agent to do one thing and the agent starts misbehaving? You really don't know what's going on. So agents, they have to be treated as a user. That's why, for example, Entra has the Entra identity for agents. So you start to have more visualization and understanding of what the agent is doing. But here, breaking down the AI by different categories where you have the models, the platforms, the agents. This is something
Uh-huh,
very
uh-huh.
unique. We didn't have this on the Azure portal. You could do something similar to this using the Cloud Security Explorer, but they will require you to do multiple queries and everything. And now you have this in one single place, much easier to consume. So this also helps. And also helps you to understand, for example, if there is any alert or recommendation that is bound to that agent. I like this, and this is probably one of the main features that also our customers that are in this AI journey, they appreciate the ability to have everything related to the agents in one single place that they can easily consult.
Wow. I mean, there's a lot, and I hope that people are excited as I am, people that are using Defender for Cloud and also Microsoft Defender and see all these additional insights in the Defender portal. My last question, what's the effort to get the data in there? Like, is it a toggle? Do they need to, how do they get this thing connected?
Yeah, so there are little things that you do. I mean, if you are using because this is already in public preview. It was released at Ignite. So the initial visualization will be there. You have just some things that you need to do in order to control permissions. You may have to change some stuff, but at least the first visualization is pretty straightforward. The data is seamless, consumed here. The customizations is where you have to go to settings and start to make some changes there. And you can also put the link for the website with more information on that.
Yeah, I think we have a rich documentation, but usually it should be easy besides
No,
providing.
the first consumption of the data is pretty straightforward. It's already here. It
Yeah,
starts to get not tricky, but you start to have to make changes when you have to control permissions because the RBAC permissions from Azure are not reflected here, right? So you have to rethink about privileges and things like that.
good. That was a good call out. So, Yuri, any last words, call to action from your side?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's we would love to hear feedback from our users, our customers about the experience of the new portal. Start to use more heavily.
Mhm.
Uh, I know that change sometimes is scary, or you already have all the playbooks and everything to the Azure portal. But start to explore, right? Start to explore more this portal. Start to build processes that will use this portal to consume the data, start to use the data visualization from here, and give us feedback. What do you think? What is missing? What can be improved? What we would like to see next, right? Because since we are in the journey, what features do you have in Azure Portal that you believe should be the next one on the release?
So, as we are not going to disclose the roadmap here, but I know that there is work going on, and I'm pretty sure I will have you back on the show, Yuri, where we'll look at new exciting things from Defender for Cloud in the Microsoft Defender portal. For now, thank you so much for finally joining the show. And thanks everyone out there for watching. And I hope I'll see you all soon. Bye.